Yeah, what's up? It's your boy, Pastor Alex Bryant, coming to you live from our studio, Planet 417 out here in Rogersville. K-Raj, what up? It's time for our second episode of Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. How's everybody doing? I hope that you're here with us, checking us out. Now, this is our second show. We just started this week. Some of you tuned in to the first episode. Thank you for your feedback. Man, we're kind of getting it all still figured out. We're still working through some of the technical stuff, and we'll continue to do that. I got to give a shout out. The shout outs to my team and my crew. Let me start with the man. His name is Matthew Frizzell. You guys should call him Matthew. That's his professional name. I call him Frizz. But Frizz, what up, my homie?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen?
Chilling. I'm surprised you didn't show yourself on the screen on that time.
I tried to, but once I'm still trying to figure something out.
There you go.
What's up?
We got Frizz. You'll know this about him eventually. He is a hockey fan. He's got his St. Louis Blues hockey.
Right here.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's go Blues, baby. Let's go Blues.
Oh, my goodness. The hockey. What is he doing with hockey? So that's the deal there.
Blues, baby. Come on.
If you get him started on the hockey, he won't ever stop.
It's your shot.
Shout out to Frizz and Mama Frizz and Papa Frizz. And then my homie over here, Todd Nicholson, he's one of my good friends. Known this guy for like 30 years. His wife, my wife, we've been friends before kids, before all our kids. He's got 3, I got 5. So we beat them. That's how so strict the numbers. And then thank you to Will Warsham. He is our host of Planet 417. This is his studio out here in Rogersville. One of these days, man, we got to get you guys out here to see it. It's a wonderful studio, a couple of different sets and all that good stuff. And he is Will Warsham Law Firm. We're going to have him on. He's actually running for office here. So next week, we'll try to get him on the show here. The dude does a lot of good stuff, estate planning. Talented, sharp guy. So there we go there. And then we're still making some upgrades to our shows and different things like that. Some of the openings, some of our videos, some of our graphics. I want to give a shout out to one of my old friends, and he's been one of the students really, literally for like 20, 25 years. He's a student in our first ministry, Ryan Rourke. He's out there from Florida, Fort Myers, Florida area. So he's helping us make some upgrades to our show, our graphics, and different things like that. We always want to keep expanding, always want to keep growing and getting better. Now, I want to tell you, you're probably watching this right now on my Facebook, Alex Bryant Facebook, right there. It's also going to be on Planet 417. You can go to planet417.com. Now, we want to remind you, we're going to be moving this. So, I don't know how long, but we need you to make sure you're moving with us. If you like the show, which I'm sure that you will, first of all, go to our YouTube for Frontline Faith, like and subscribe. That way you're going to be getting updates. We're going to be putting out reels of the different shows, some of the highlights, some of the clips, but we're going to be moving you. We're going to be moving you to YouTube, our Alex Bryant Ministries YouTube. That's where we're going to mainly house it. We'll eventually be going live from there because we don't know what Facebook's going to do. We're live from there right now, I'm being told. So you may be watching it on our Alex Bryant Ministries YouTube. That's really primarily where we want you to get it at, because we don't know if Facebook's going to wig out. Zuckerberg, what's this guy going to do? And if we say conservative things, is he going to try to censor us? Is he going to try to hold a brother down? I don't know. So go with us on our YouTube and Rumble. And so eventually we'll be there. But we'll be on all the platforms, X. That's our plan eventually. And so just stick with us as well. We will have for those of you that are driving, you listen to your podcast, just the audio only. We will be eventually putting these on Spotify, on iTunes, wherever you get your podcast there, or Apple Podcasts. So stay with us. We got big plans, and I'm excited about all of it. So let me tell you what's going to happen today. Got a great show lineup. We got a lot of things that we're going to cover. Some of the different segments. What's the big idea? That's our opening news segment. There's a few stories that I'll be telling you about with that at 9:10 here in about just another, not even 9:10, a couple more minutes. I'll start with Biden. I don't know if you guys caught his farewell address last night. I was watching some of my friends I watched about 90 seconds of it, and that's all I could stand. So I watched it so that you didn't have to, and we'll give you the audience over here is cheering like, yay! But so I got some thoughts on his farewell address. I'll show you a couple clips as well. At 9:30, we'll talk about the Israel-Hamas Hamas ceasefire and hostage release deal. Is it on? Is it off? We'll talk about that around 9:30. 9:45, our Congress is already at it. The U.S. House of Representatives, I am thankful they passed the Protecting Women's Sports Act. That passed in the House. Now, obviously, it'll go to the Senate, and then it'll have to go to President Trump's desk. So they're trying to, get it there. It shouldn't have any problems because obviously we control the House of Representatives. Republicans, we control the Senate, and obviously Trump is telling them, give me that bill, protecting women's sports. So we'll go over that about 9:45. 10 o'clock, we'll have our top 3 stories of the day, quick hitting. We'll go some national. We'll also go local. I'll tell you about what's coming here to Springfield, what's coming again to Springfield. That's going to be in our top 3 stories of the day at 10. And then at 10:30, we'll end our show on what people are talking about. What are you talking about? What are we talking about? What's on X? What are we hearing? What are our top stories? So that's how we're going to get all into it. We'll go into KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, the binder. People are talking about that. There's been a new rocket that was launched. People are talking about that. Carrie Underwood performing at the inauguration. She's getting a lot of shade. We'll talk about that. So let's get it popping, crack-a-lacking, started and all that. We got some new graphic openers. My man Frizz, let's get it going to what's the big idea.
What's the big deal? Opening news story.
What's the big deal? Not what's the big idea. That was my fault right there. What's the big deal? Just some of our opening news stories right here. Let's get to it. Biden's farewell speech. Oh my goodness, people. It was, 12, 14, 15 minutes, and it was not good. I mean, it was not good. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I guess he did get through it without falling asleep, without bumbling or did too many gaffes or whatever. But it was bleak. It was harsh. It reminded me of old great grandpa, who's like, you get these little rascally kids off my lawn. He was like mad. The tone of it was not good from the very beginning. I had a few takeaways. And so first of all, let me say this. How's Biden going to be remembered? That's the big question. What's he going to be known for? Those are questions that he's got to be thinking about, because during this address, he didn't go into any of his so-called accomplishments. What were they? I mean, how's he going to be remembered? Probably as a failed president who drastically hurt our country in the area of illegal immigration with those policies and terrible foreign policies. He started his presidency with the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. I'm going to go into that a little bit more later in some of the details of how he's going to be remembered, what we're going to be remembering as. But that's the first thing that I'm thinking of when you think about President Biden. Those that like and appreciate him, or that did before, he got kicked out by the Democrats before they said, you ain't running, old man. And again, I got nothing against old people. My kids say I'm old, you know what I'm saying? But, if you're going to be the president of the United States, you got to be all there cognitively. I'm just saying, I'm just saying. But so I had a couple takeaways from his address last night. Number one, he did start by taking credit for the hostage release and ceasefire. Play this clip right here.
After 8 months of nonstop negotiation, by my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas, the elements of which I laid out in great detail in May of this year. This plan was developed and negotiated by my team and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be, working together as Americans.
So that was the start of his speech. I mean, he's like, hey, look, I did it. Been working on it for 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, whatever. Now, I'm going to give you an update on this a little bit later. This was when we went to bed last night. That still was in place. Hostages are supposed to be released this weekend, ceasefire, but that's on hold. So are you going to take the credit for that, President Joe Byron? So we got to get our hotkeys. Byron. So people. Okay, so we call him Byron because there was this clip a couple years ago where this it went viral. This guy goes into the boardwalk up in like New Jersey, and he's asking people about, hey, who's your president or whatever. And one guy, he's like a older, black dude. I don't know. He might have been homeless. He's like President Byron. He's my president. What's his name? Byron. Byron. What's his name, Priz?
Byron.
So, I love the clip. We got to get that and keep it.
Unfortunately, we can't play the full clip because there are some bad words.
Okay,
after
there's some
when he
bad
says
words.
Byron, but that's another to-do list for me.
That's another to-do list. We'll get that eventually. That's going to be one of our inside jokes for all our Frontline Faith. This is the time, Priz. Frontline Faith. What are we going to, if people are listening, what are we going to be, you call in, we want you to call in, we want your input. What are we going to call them, Friz?
If you tune in to Frontline Faith, ladies and gentlemen, you are one of our soldiers in Christ.
Soldiers in Christ. Frontline Faith with Alex Bryan. We're soldiers in Christ. That's straight out of the Bible right there. That's Friz, man. He's out last night. He's like texting me, oh, I got an idea. And I loved it. I love it, man. So one of our soldiers in Christ here on Frontline Faith with Alex Bryan. But so anyway, this is the start of his speech. He goes in, he's taking credit for it. And now I'm going to say this. I mean, this wasn't the first time he took some credit for it. He started the day walking out as soon as this ceasefire was announced with some swagger. The brother came with his swagger and his posse. Here's what that looked like.
And the Secretary of State. Let's listen.
Good afternoon. It's a very good afternoon because at long last, I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas.
Yeah, dog. That's what you walk out like, what's up? Like, how you doing? What's up? I did it. What's up? I'm in the house. You know, that's how that brother, that's how he walked out. He walked out with some swagger. And so, anyway, now what's going to happen is on hold. We'll see Netanyahu. He's like, I don't know if we're going to go through with it. More on that later in the show. Here's a second takeaway from Joe Byron's farewell speech. He warns of the ultra-rich people becoming oligarchs and ruining America. Check this.
I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous concentration, and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. We see the consequences all across America, and we've seen it before. More than a century ago, but the American people stood up to the robber barons back then and busted the trusts. They didn't punish the wealthy. They just made the wealthy play by the rules everybody else had to. Workers want rights to earn their fair share. You know, they were dealt into the deal, and it helped put us on a path to building the largest middle class, the most prosperous century any nation in the world has ever seen. And we've got to do that again. In the last 4 years, that is exactly what we've done. People should be able to make as much as they can, but play by the same rules. Pay their fair share of taxes.
So there you go. I mean, he said a lot in that clip, and he's pushing his ideology, his belief system. That's the way the Democrats see the world. There's a couple themes all throughout this whole thing. He goes into a couple of different times in his 12, 15-minute thing about the abuse of power, and give everyone a fair shot, which means the rich people, you got to pay your fair share. I mean, like, these are his themes because that's his worldview. That's the worldview of the Democrats, that the United States is full of rich, predominantly white elite people who are white supremacists, and then there's the rest of us, black and brown people, who are victims, who we got to strip away power from you rich white elites and give it to everyone else. Male elites, cisgender white elite people. Now, I don't agree with that. If you've ever listened to anything I do, I don't see the world like that. I mean, you guys have heard my story. Well, you maybe haven't heard my story. I am literally a young black man. I'm not young anymore. My kids tell me, as a matter of fact. But I'm a black guy who was born to two teenagers in Fort Pierce, Florida. My mom was 16 when she had me. My real dad was 15. My real dad's been in prison about half my life, in and out of prison. My mom ended up getting her GED. She went on to make a great life for herself. She made sure she introduced me to Jesus. She made sure that I went to church. And so I would leave the projects of Macomb, Illinois, and I would go to Mount Calvary Church of God in Christ. Ha! You got to put the ha at the end of that. You say Mount Calvary Church of God in Christ. Ha! And I was introduced to Jesus, and it changed my life. And I went on to be able to go to college on a football scholarship. I parlayed that into 2 degrees, a master's degree, and I'm working on a doctoral degree. I own my own nonprofit business. I get to travel the world telling people about Jesus. I've been married to the same woman for 29 years. We have our own 5 kids. This is a great country. Where else could a young black man achieve that kind of success? But the Democrats want you to believe the worldview of them is that, oh no, you're a victim. You can't do it. You can't. I reject that mess. And that's the worldview. And that's what they want to do. They want to take power from, they call it the rich, and they want to give it to everyone else. You know what? I'm striving to be one of them rich people. Now, money's not everything to me, but we got to have money to do the things we need to do. And I don't want my kids to go without. And so, yes, I'm looking to make sure that I learn from some of these people who've learned how to acquire wealth by building businesses, by being hard workers. That's not a bad thing. And they want us to think that it is. So he's warning against these rich oligarchs is what he calls them. And he says there's dangerous, or he talks about the dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a few very wealthy people. He's mad because they're not Democrats anymore. I mean, let's be real about it. I mean, when they were in the Democrat Party, he's all good with it. You know what I'm saying? When they controlled all the rich elites, when they got all the tech money and all the billionaires, they were cool with it. But now that he sees them starting to leave the Democrat Party and going after Trump because they like his policies of capitalism, they don't like it all that much. So now he's warning against them. So that's the thing there. He also talked about the consequences of the abuse of power being left unchecked that threatens our democracy. That means it's not under Democrat control anymore. I mean, they're mad because they lost Twitter. You know, they're losing Facebook. Zuckerberg just dropped them like, like the quarterback who was the star, but the cheerleader found that he, is now second string. So she drops that sucker. You know what I'm saying? The rich, the tech companies, they're dropping the Democrats left and right. It's so crazy to me, he's talking about, and what's up with all this talk about the fair shot for all? Again, I thought that we all could take part in the American dream. See, that's the deal. The Democrats don't necessarily want a fair shot for everyone. They want same equal outcomes. See, there's a difference between equality. That's one thing. And see, equality is what Martin Luther King was shooting for. Equality is what, we're all pushing for, to make sure that everybody has the same opportunity, the same chance. They're not necessarily going for that. They don't want equality. They want equity. That's guaranteed outcomes. Nah, bro, that's not what it's about. They want the guaranteed outcomes. But this is crazy, that he's warning against the rich people, the oligarchs, what he calls them, when this dude just like a week or two ago, he just gave the medal, the Presidential Medal of Freedom to George Soros. That dude has given billions of dollars to the Democrats over the last couple of years. I mean, he's buying DA seats for, radical people. How in the world is Biden going to say, hey, I want to warn you against these rich people, the power, the influence they have? You just gave George Soros the Medal of Freedom. Come on, man. The hypocrisy in that. So that's one thing I noticed. Here's another one. He says his presidency shows we don't have to choose between protecting our environment and having a strong economy. So he's talking about the Green New Deal. The Democrats are all about the New Deal. Global warming, it's an existential threat. I remember when I was a young kid, it wasn't global warming, it was the ice caps are melting. And then, what was it after that? The ice caps are melting, and then it was climate change. Yeah, it was global warming, and now it's climate change, right? Yeah. But so, yeah, the world was supposed to end in 2012. Isn't that what Al Gore originally told us? I mean, come on, man. Now AOC, that's how she got popular, by going on Instagram and crying, our planet, our planet's dying. We need you to stop having babies and stop eating cows because they fart. That's. I mean, this is just, you can't make this stuff up. Friend, stay with me, bro. You're over there laughing too much. You're
making. Come on,
dude,
man.
it's them. It's them, dude. It's them. It's what they're saying. It's what they're doing. And so, but anyway, the Dems, they want to destroy, he said about the strong economy, right? He's like, you can have a strong economy and take care of the climate. Here's my take on it. How in the world is the Democrats and Biden's policy over the last 4 years trying to destroy our biggest economic tool, which is our energy independence? You don't have to go far to look at gas prices. Like right now, they're $2.79, which is cheap for Joe Biden and his presidency. Under Trump, they got down to what? I think the average was like $1.59 or something. I remember one time paying like $1.12, I think it was, at Sam's Club one time. Energy, the cost of gas, the natural gas, all this stuff. And again, more on that later. I'm going to get into that in the top 3 stories of the hour. I'll tell you about Biden, his gift that he's leaving for Trump when it comes to the economy. Here's another takeaway from Biden's farewell address. He left with some quick hitters on big tech and political power.
I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well. Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact-checking. The truth is smothered by lies told for power and for profit. We must hold the social platforms accountable to protect our children, our families, and our very democracy from the abuse of power.
Hold them accountable. I mean, he was okay with it when they controlled it. When Zuckerberg, when the first time he ran for office, when he ran for presidency, and Mark Zuckerberg gave him $400 million, not even $400 million. I said it's $400 million. There's a difference. I mean, Zuck was dropping all kinds of Zuckerbucks to get the Democrats elected. He didn't have a problem then. When Jack Dorsey owned Twitter and when the Democrats are controlling and taking Trump off, kicked him off Twitter. Kicked the brother off Twitter. And again, it should be called Twitter instead of X. Elon, I hope you're listening.
He did get kicked off whenever it was Twitter.
Yeah. But can somebody tell Elon it needs to be Twitter again?
Hey, listen, Elon. Here, I gotta finish here. Elon, if you ever listen or watch this podcast, change it to Twitter, please. Okay?
Change it back.
Change it back.
It's
Come
Twitter.
on now.
It's Twitter. Come on, man. It's Twitter. But yeah, this is a couple quick hitters about big tech, about, political stuff. I mean, he gave some towards the end of his speech. Number one, he said America must be leaders in AI tech and not China. That's true. China's got a plan, guys. And in the final segment, what people are talking about, man, Marco Rubio during his confirmation hearing, he said something that every American should hear it, and it's a dire warning to us, and it's all about China. And so, but he talks about how we have to lead in AI. Now, I'm gonna tell you this, AI scares a brother. I've seen all the Terminator movies. You know what I'm saying? It's true. I've seen them all, bro. And I'm gonna tell you what, the machines are gonna try to kill us, bro. AI scares me. And now hear me out, okay? Give me on this one. Hear me out. I'm gonna talk to you. Hear me out on this, okay? AI scares the living bejesus out of me because I've seen Terminator 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've seen them all. And now AI, if they are like taking in all the stuff that we have on our digital streaming, let's just say they start out by being good, right? Because you saw Terminator, I think it was Terminator 2. Or 3, Judgment Day. They can see the movies that we made, and then AI will go, that's a good idea. Maybe we should start getting rid of the humans. We're jacked, people. I'm just saying, you guys think I'm joking. I'm dead serious. I don't trust AI. But here's the bigger thing. I don't trust China controlling AI, because what happens is America, like you had like some of these leaders and innovators in AI, Google, you had Sergey Brin or whatever that guy is. He was one of the founders of Google. You had Elon Musk. He was one of the founders. He's like, let's go all in with AI. And then Elon's like, hold on a second. we gotta regulate this thing because we don't know what's going on. There's no checks, there's no balances. So in the United States, we've kind of governed it. It's like if you're driving in a golf cart and you govern it so you can't go very fast. But China's not doing that. China's like, no, we'll keep pushing forward on this because we want to be the leaders in technology. So if we're governing ourselves, but China's not doing the same thing, we're going to be behind. And we have to be ones that are the big political players in that. And so that's something to think about, people. That AI, because it's here. It's not turning back. Chat GPT, yeah. But also in his farewell address, Biden, he said that he doesn't trust the big tech and that they need to be reined in. Now, again, he's saying this now that he's lost Elon Musk, now that he's lost Twitter and Joe Rogan and Zuckerberg. Zuck's going to be all in Trump's dais, you know, his box of VIP people at the inaugural address. He's got Elon Musk. He's got Zuckerberg. You got Bezos is going to be there. The dude from or the CEO of what's that app we were talking about that all the kids like? TikTok, yeah, because they're going to be, he's supposed to be shutting that sucker, Biden's shutting that sucker down, kicking him out on the 19th Sunday. You got a lot of kids going to be upset, crying like, where's our TikTok? We don't have it for 24 hours. And when I say kids, I mean you 30-year-old moms that are staying home. You know I'm telling the truth about you.
You just went there.
Sometimes you have to. Get off TikTok, suckers. I'm old school. It's ruining your brain. Yeah, but he also went and talked about some of the politics in his farewell, some of the quick hitters, some political changes that he'd like to see made. Play this clip right here.
We need to get dark money. That's that hidden funding behind too many campaigns contributions. We need to get it out of our politics. We need to enact an 18-year time limit, time and term, for the strongest ethics and the strongest ethics reforms for our Supreme Court. We need to ban members of Congress from trading stock while they're in the Congress. We need to amend the Constitution to make clear that no president is immune from crimes that he or she commits while in office. The president's power is not limited. It's not absolute.
So, yeah, he gave some of his political quick hits when he's leaving. Number one, SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, they need term limits. You want them now because you know that the Republicans have the majority. It's like literally like 6-3. That's what it is. They talked about trying to pack the court, add more justices. You know, now that they don't have power, they're going, oh, these are some changes that need to be made. He also said that we need to ban congressional stock trading. Now, I'm going to say this right here. That's a jab at Nancy Pelosi. There's been no one that has made more money off the stock market than in Congress than Nancy Pelosi. Her husband, all he does, it sits at home, dear, what's going on, baby? Text me about what you guys are talking about so that I can go and buy some stock over there. You know what I mean? NVIDIA, Taiwan, Nancy Pelosi taking trips over to Taiwan. You guys remember this like a couple years ago? China's threatening to shoot her plane out of the sky if she went and visited Taiwan, but she's like, I'm going anyway. I got to talk to them about my stock. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this woman is shady. And so I'm down with him when he says the Congress, they shouldn't be able to go into Congress worth just a couple of $1,000s and leave multi-millionaires. A lot of these politicians, they go into public service. Joe Biden, his whole career has been public service. His whole career. How's he worth like $7 million? I don't understand. Like when they cap how much you can make when you're working in Congress, when you're working it's because they're the ones who are setting policy. They're the ones who are meeting with all these lobbyists and all these companies that are coming in and saying, hey, if you take us green and you talk about solar, you know, we'll give you a seat on the board. We'll give your cousin, your uncle, your best friend, your brother a seat on our board if you make policy that helps us out. That's what they're doing. They're all selling us out. And it's not just the Democrats. Republicans do this stuff too. Condoleezza Rice, you know, when she left, they go on these boards of these companies, like these military industrial companies, Colin Powell, and they just get paid. That's one of the things that they're talking to Pete Hegseth about now. He is like up for Secretary of Defense, and he said, like, listen, once you're a general, you shouldn't be allowed to be a lobbyist and to sit on one of these boards after that, because now you still have your same connections. You still have your same clearance. You can go in there and get a lot of the information, and you can tell these companies, and sometimes these foreign companies like Chinese companies, what we're doing. Vivek Ramaswamy, man, he highlighted this when he was running for office. The military-industrial complex is like in bed with China, and they are making them strong, their military, their industrial complex, at our own expense. And it's because these people, when they serve in public office for a couple decades, they know all the connections, they know all our secrets, they're setting and making policy, and they're getting filthy rich, and it ain't right. I said ain't. Sorry, all my teachers out there. He also said that presidents shouldn't have absolute immunity. Again, this is a kick at Trump because they know that he's considered immune from their lawfare strategy. They tried to keep him off the ballot. They tried to throw him in jail. They tried to strip him of all of his properties and stuff like that, but none of it worked. Their plan was foiled again by the rascally kids. That's what happened. And so that was his farewell address. And I watched it so that you don't have to. If you can stomach it, go check it out. His full speech is on YouTube. I think it's maybe 12 or 15 minutes. But his theme, the common themes, he kept warning 2 or 3 times about the abuse of power. Now that he's leaving office, he wants to say, yeah, hey, watch out, because Trump could abuse power, kind of like what I did to throw him in jail, to take away his businesses, to keep him off the ballot. We don't want him to do the same thing to us. I mean, that's basically what he's saying. And then he kept talking about how they need to give everyone a fair shot. He's trying to pander to minorities, to women, to black and brown by saying that the white male elites, who are also white supremacists, they don't want you here in America. I reject it. That's their worldview, but it's not mine. So, hey, let's do this. We got Planet 417. They're the ones that host us here. I'm going to give you a little shout out to them, and we'll be back with more of What's the Big Deal, the opening news. All right. Hey, let's look at what else is happening. This story broke. This is about the Hamas and Israel potential ceasefire and hostage release. This news broke yesterday afternoon that Israel and Hamas, they'd reached a ceasefire agreement and that the hostages were going to start being released this weekend. Then this morning, we woke up to the news that the deal was on hold. Apparently, Benjamin Netanyahu, he's the prime minister of Israel, he's delaying the vote of his parliament, the Israeli parliament, because he said that Hamas is backing out on some of the key parts of the deal. Now, this is after 15 months of war following the October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel. I don't know if you guys remember it. I remember seeing these pictures and these videos, even on X, of just this attack. Israel didn't even know it was coming. It was from the Hamas terrorists in Gaza. They breached Israel's border, broke a hole in the wall. They came across in these little flying, things, and they just started killing people at a music festival. They end up, killing about 1,400 people that day, 1,200 Israelis and 200 other people, including a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans died that day. 1,400 people killed. They took about 200 hostages, I think 230 hostages back, and they've had these hostages now for 468 days. And Israel, they said, no, enough's enough, because for years, Hamas and all the other terrorists, they do not like Israel. They are in Gaza. It's a little the Palestinian people. Let me give you this in case you've been under a rock the last couple of years. You don't know who Hamas and the terrorists are. They are literally they come out of the Palestinian people. So there's a little strip of land on the west bank, the west side of Israel, where a couple million Palestinian people are residing. They don't really have land. They don't have a home. Israel was giving their land back in 1947, and so the Palestinian people are kind of like nomads, and they do not like Israel. They want to completely destroy Israel because they feel like they took the land that they want, that they have. So you hear chants from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free. They're saying we need to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. And this goes back, one of these days I'll go into it, the biblical history of this, because it's theological, it's also political, and it's also cultural and social, because you've seen the college students, Columbia University, a lot of these schools last year that were protesting, that were rioting, burning stuff, burning down buildings and vandalizing buildings. And that's the cultural and the social ramifications of this Palestinian conflict over here, because Israel is saying no, you have our hostages. You attacked us. They took 230, I think, hostages. And Israel said, we are not going to stop this war. We're not going to stop chasing down the terrorists amongst the Palestinian people, which is Hamas. We're not going to stop until the terrorists are completely wiped out, until we have every single one of our hostages back. And yet you have these petulant little college kids that are going, it's not right. Too many people, innocent people are being killed. Too many innocent Palestinian people. Now, listen, I don't think any innocent people should be killed. But I do also know that war, there's unintended consequences of war. There's collateral damage. And the Palestinian people voted Hamas, the terrorist group, into power back at the turn of the century in the early 2000s. Now, they said they wanted to get rid of Hamas. They said they voted them out of power in Palestine, but they're not. They continue to shield them. They know that the terrorists are hid in caves, under their hospitals, under their schools, under their mosques. But the Palestinian people are shielding these terrorists. And over the course of about 20 years, the Hamas terrorists, they've lobbed about 10,000 missiles into Israel. That's why Israel has this thing called the Iron Dome. It's like a missile defense system that shoots out of the sky these missiles that are coming into their territory. Can you imagine being an Israeli person? And I know people, I got friends who do mission trips over there, some friends that live over in Israel, and they say, yeah, it's just a common thing. You'll hear the bomb shelters every day. A couple times a day, the bomb shelters will go off, or the sirens will go off, and they know that the Iron Dome's going to do its job. But if one of them gets through the Iron Dome where the missile defense system doesn't work, the sirens go off, and you just know every house, every building, every school has a bomb shelter in it. You just got to know you got to go to the bomb shelter. Can you imagine living that way? What if, here in America, like let's say you live down south in Texas, and, you got the cartel. They were lobbing rockets into Mexico or from Mexico into Texas or Arizona or California. And they're lobbing these rockets, these missiles. And the Mexican government's like, we don't have anything to do with it. It's the cartels. How soon before we'd be sending the best of our best, our Navy SEALs, our Marines down there to say, Mexico, if you can't get control of this problem, we're going to. And no one would fault us for doing that, because people in Texas, Arizona, California, border states, they shouldn't have to live under the threat of having missiles being lobbed over them. That's just what's been happening. And so you got this ceasefire deal that they've been talking about, they've been working on, because Israel said, again, we're not going to stop until all of our hostages are returned and until every single terrorist is dead. And they've wiped out most of these terrorists. But the world's kind of giving pressure to Israel. You need to stop. Let's ceasefire. Biden, during the last year and a half, he's been trying to tell Israel, let's pause, let's stop, let's hold on. And they want basically to give the terrorists a chance to regroup. And Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, they didn't trust the Biden administration. They knew they couldn't trust them. And Trump has made it known, when I come in, the hostages better be released or there's going to be hell to pay. So before this morning, I'm going to give you an update when we went to bed last night, here's where we stood with this hostage release and this ceasefire deal. Are we ready?
It should have been, yeah.
Hamas negotiators for a... Yeah, Harris, this is breaking news right now. According to a source familiar with the ongoing talks, a ceasefire deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas. I do want to just read to you what this source...
All right, don't worry about that. That was Trey Yanks. He's giving us a little bit of an update on stuff. I'm gonna tell you what, Frizz. I mean, I give you a lot of moving pieces. You're killing it, dude. Like, it's only your second day doing this video stuff.
I'm gonna blame YouTube for that, because every single X clip that I played has gone through. So you know what? I'm not gonna take blame for that.
Nah, it's all good.
Actually, here, hold on. YouTube, that's on you.
It's all good. We're learning what we can do. But anyway, Trey Yanks is just giving an update. I'll just give you this. It's supposed to be starting this weekend. The hostages were starting to be released. The agreement says that 33 hostages are expected to be released over 42 days, so about 6 weeks. And they're going to do it in 3 phases. The first phase was going to be women and children, the elderly, and maybe people that were injured. That's what they're going to start to release. Not the male soldiers, not the civilians that were taken on October 7th. I guess there's some Israeli soldiers that were taken, or maybe that they've captured. They're not releasing them just yet. Now, here's the crazy thing about it. We don't know how many of these people are dead or how many are alive. I talk about, when I was on the radio, I always talked about purely irresponsible speculation. Now, it's my belief that Hamas has not been releasing these hostages because they've sold some of them off. They've taken them under their caves into Egypt, probably sold some of them, prisoners, whatever. They killed, tortured a lot of them. We don't know how many of these hostages are really alive. There's not a lot of proof of life. That's the bad thing about it. And so, but we've had this negotiation, and they're supposed to have this pause in fighting for 6 weeks. We do know that a few of these people were believed to be alive, so 23 of them that they were going to be released. That's kind of what the first phase of it was going to be. So, it's crazy. It's crazy, to think about, this. And so yesterday when that deal was released, was we saw President Biden along with Vice President Kamala, Secretary of State Antony Blinken. They all came out like ballers with some swagger, saying we got it all done. So the real question for me is how and why. How did it happen? How did the deal come about? Play this clip right here.
Do I have to define it for you? Look, all hell will break out. If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out.
That's how I think it happened, because Hamas knew you don't want to mess around with Trump. Joe Biden is a weak president. I mean, everybody knew it on the world stage. He was frail. And again, I'm not disparaging elderly people. We all are going to go that way. If you live long enough, your mental capacities, they just decline. Your body, it breaks down. We should honor our elderly. And I hated that we saw our president being weak like that on the public stage. And I don't like making fun of the guy, but here's the deal. His family should have protected him. They shouldn't have allowed him to be out there, because that's what you want to do. You want to protect the dignity of the elderly. We don't need him being out there as president on camera, making those kind of gaffes and giving people who are mean-spirited or whatever fodder to make fun of him. And I mean, I get it. I know I've done it. I'm guilty of it. It seems funny sometimes. It's ridiculous. But he was weak. The world knew it. Hamas knew it. They knew that, even you go back to really Obama, I mean, they don't have teeth to what they're saying. Obama put his red line in the sand and said, you better not cross it. Putin, he crossed the red line. He invaded Crimea. The terrorists, they don't care what Obama said. They don't care about what Biden said. You know why? Because they know that the Democrats are all talk. Now, Trump, on the other hand, they don't know what he's going to do. Trump's he's a wild card. You look at the dude, you just don't know. Like, is the guy, what's he going to do? Is he crazy? Is he unhinged? You don't know. So you have to take him at his face value. And so when he says something like, listen, and he was there with the hostage, with the negotiator he has planned, he's like, look, they better be released or else all hell's going to break loose. This is all Trump. And you look at the leader of Israel, they're saying it. They're saying, yeah, this is thanks to him. Some of the parents of the hostages that are being released, they're saying this happened because President Trump came in. He made it clear that if the hostages were not returned by his inauguration, all hell would break loose. Now, here's what when I first heard that Netanyahu was delaying the vote, I wondered, is this a little bit political? Like, because remember, Biden came out and took credit for it. Like, yeah, this happened because of me, my administration, and I'm handing it off to Trump. You're welcome. I'm wondering if they're going to pull a Jimmy Carter and wait until the inauguration day one, and then say, oh, now we're going to release the hostages so that Trump gets complete credit like they did for Reagan back in the 80s with, the Iran, hostages there. I don't know. You hate to think they're playing politics with stuff like this, but, that's how things happen on the world stage. But this is all because of Trump and his hostage negotiator. He made it happen on his behalf, and it's because of strong leadership. There's something said for strong leadership. More on that. We'll keep covering it. We'll keep, next week. We'll be back on Tuesday. I'll find out. Hopefully by then we'll know what's going on to see if the hostages have been released, because it's supposed to start happening this weekend. You don't want to see those poor people have to wait 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day longer. Here's another big deal story. News of the day, protecting women's sports. So the House of Representatives, they passed its first bill of the 119th Congress on Tuesday. That was just 2 days ago. They voted in favor of the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. The U.S. House of Representatives now, it was, the vote went down. All of the Republicans and I think 2 Democrats end up voting for it. There was Democrats representatives, Henry Cuellar from Texas and Vicente Gonzalez of Texas. They were the only 2 Democrats who voted to protect women and girls sports. So just stop and think about that. The remaining 206 House Democrats all voted against it, except for one other one. He voted president, Representative Don Davis. He's a Democrat from North Carolina. How can you vote against protecting women and girls in sports? Now, I'm gonna say this. This issue is personal for me. I have a daughter who is a freshman in high school. Her name's Katie. She's a basketball player. She plays for Nixa. She's on the JV team. She's a beast. She's 6 foot tall. She's been 6 foot tall for like 2 years since she's like 12. She's just 14 now. Or is she 15? Oh, sorry, Katie. She's 15 now. Love you. I just took her to get her driving permit. She's 15.
So I did see the Beware permit driver on your Durango earlier. I did see your
the Beware.
Yeah. Beware, yeah.
Hey, you better beware. She's actually probably so we have 5 kids, 4 boys, and Katie. She's the best of the drivers because the boys were just a little bit overconfident, a little lackadaisical. She's at 10 and 2. She's paying attention. She's astute. She's not speeding. You know, the boys get a little bit, you know how crazy you guys are when you drive. But she has been the best permit driver that we've had. But this issue right here, protecting the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, it's personal because my daughter plays basketball and she's on the traveling team. They travel all around the country. I can't imagine them having to go up against a team with boys on it. I remember seeing a story out of, I think it was Massachusetts, a girls' high school basketball team. They went up against this team that had 3 biological boys who identified as girls, and they were roughing them girls up. They ended up stopping the game because, you know, these girls were getting thrown to the ground. They were getting hurt. I can't be a dad who's out there sitting in the stands and watching boys beat up on girls in sports. I wouldn't stand for that. I wouldn't stand for that. I don't know how you can. Let some little boy, and again, I got 4 boys. And I get it. You know, when they were younger, you know, Katie would try to wrestle her older brothers and whatnot. And, you know, wrestle, I would never let them. I mean, they knew from a young age, don't you ever hit a girl. I don't care when you don't do that. I don't even like boys wrestling girls like in high school. I'm glad now wrestling's getting their own sport. You just stop and think about that. Like, it's just not fair. Dudes are naturally bigger, faster, stronger, more muscular. And when you're like 5, 6, 7, you're about the same. You don't have muscles, whatever. But like, you know, you get to be junior high school age, boys start to develop muscles. You know, and also too, it's a lose-lose for boys to wrestle a girl. I mean, because if she beats you, I mean, Fred started laughing. If a girl beats you, you ain't never living that down. You're in high school, you get beat by a girl wrestler. Come on, man. Come on, man. You know, I mean, so it's a lose-lose. But then if you beat her, you're supposed to. You're supposed to be. It's like playing a girl. If you're like in a football league, fantasy football league, you got a girl in the league. That's a lose-lose too. Because if the girl beats you, she's going to brag about, I beat Pastor Alex, ha, ha, ha. And if you beat her, you can't brag about, I beat a girl. She's like, I'm a girl. I'm supposed to. So like, but you know, and then stop it. That's probably a little bit sexist.
We're going off the rails.
I mean, it is what it is. But then you stop and think about this too. You stop and think about with wrestling a young girl in sports. If a dude, I mean, you get to be like in high school. Wrestling's an intimate thing. I mean, you don't want a young boy putting his hands in places on a little girl. That's just not appropriate. And so, I mean, we just got to realize that, you know, I believe this. I get it. I'm a kid that grew up in the, you know, when it was like, oh, yeah, you got girls who do everything a boy can do and the battle of the sexes and stuff like that. No. Girls can do everything God says they can do, and boys can do everything God says they can do. we can't do everything each other can do, and we got to stop this. So I'm glad that Congress is doing this one. This is personal for me. Let me give you an update on this from how this went down. Speaker Mike Johnson.
Welcome to the Capitol, everybody. Good afternoon. This is a great day for women in America. Yes, that's an applause line. House Republicans have yet again stood up for women. This is a commitment that we have made because it comports with what is right and what is common sense. We know from Scripture and from nature that men are men and women are women, and men cannot become women. It's sad that we have to say that. It's a matter of biology. It's how we're made. And if we try to ignore that or to undo it, we do so at our peril and to the detriment of our daughters. Across the country, female athletes like Riley Gaines and Paula Scanlon and Peyton McNabb have had to compete head-to-head against biological men. It's just not right. Around the world, it's estimated that more than 700 female athletes have been displaced by males in their women's sporting events. And that has resulted in more than 1,000 estimated medals, records, and scholarships intended for women going to men.
That's crazy. I mean, that's crazy when you stop and think about it. And I mean, Speaker Johnson did a great job of explaining why this bill, Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, number one, safety. We talked about that. I mean, boys can hurt girls. There's stories of girls or biological males playing on volleyball teams, spiking the ball so hard, breaking girls' noses. It's safety. You can't have that. And then the matter of fairness across the country. He said over 1,000 medals and trophies have gone to males that were supposed to be for women. I mean, you talk about biological males, they're getting medals, they're getting trophies, they're getting girls scholarships in swimming and stuff like that. That's not fair. It's not right. It's a matter of justice. That's the third thing. Who is going to stand up and fight for the marginalized? This is, it just amazes me that the Democrats are all in with, well, we want to protect the trans biological kids. It's like no one wants, first of all, if you're transgender and you're an adult, that's one thing. I don't think there should be any such thing as a trans kid, because until you're 18, no. I'm against completely sexualizing children. There's no such thing as gay or straight when you're a child. Kids shouldn't be thinking about sex at that young age. We've over-sexualized this. First of all, that's a bigger issue. I can go on a high horse and rant about that one. But so when you're talking about doing these sex change operations for these children that are 12, 13, 14, I've talked to a girl, Chloe Cole, interviewed her. And she's like, when I was 13, I thought that I didn't like that my body was changing. Turns out I pretty much was a tomboy. But yet, my mom took me to a counselor. They ended up chopping off this girl's perfectly healthy breasts when she was like 16, 17 years old. And then now she's like in 19, 20, 21, and she's going, man, I want to be a girl. I just realized I was a tomboy. They chopped off her breasts. She can never nurse a baby. They started on these hormone therapies. She doesn't know if she's going to be able to get pregnant one day. We are like mutilating these children. There's kids, young men, young boys who say I identify as a girl, and in some places like crazy California, they chop off their penis. A young boy, and then you can go online and see videos about detransitioning. 24, 25, 26, 27-year-old people, young men and women who are going, why did you guys let us do this? Like, why did you let me chop off, my penis, chop off breast? Because that's irreplaceable. That's irreversible. And then how's it? So that's another thing. But, when protecting women and girls in sports, it's just not fair. It's not just to allow this to happen. Losing medals, losing scholarships. The feminist movement got themselves into a catch-22 on this one. That's what happened. The feminist movement with girls can do everything a boy can do. And then so now, there's no difference. We're just as strong. We're just as fast. We're just as smart. Okay, so then now where do you go? So if somebody identifies as a girl, well, all women are women. All women. And if they're biological, there's no such thing as a biological woman or a trans woman. They're just women. It's the feminist movement. They got themselves into a catch-22. They have to say that women can do anything. anything a man can do to stay consistent with their message. And so to admit that there are differences, to admit weakness, it thus legitimizes or delegitimizes their whole argument. Because if you're saying, yeah, well, women boxers are, they're not as strong, so they shouldn't be competing, with, men. So then you delegitimize your argument, because they came out for decades saying women can do everything. Women are just as smart, just as fast, just as strong. The science does not support their argument there. But then it's also a matter of common sense. Common sense. I mean, this they shouldn't even, Congress shouldn't have to make a law. They shouldn't have to have an act for this. It's a common sense deal. Here's what else Speaker Johnson had to say about this.
Well, welcome to the Capitol, everybody. Athletes like girls. It's dangerous. It's unfair. It's a rejection of reality, and it is just plain wrong. But today, the House voted to uphold common sense again. We voted to require all schools receiving federal funds to uphold the original meaning of Title IX and keep biological men out of women's sports. Last Congress, we voted on this legislation as well. We will note that not one single Democrat joined us. Today was an improvement. It's bipartisan. We had 2 Democrats join us. Yes.
I, too, have taken notes.
So here's the deal. I mean, they're saying we're gonna take some funds. I mean, they're gonna look at the federal funds. If you're high school, you're trying to do this mess with letting boys compete with girls and steal their medals, steal their trophies, steal their scholarships, you ain't going to get the federal funds. And I'm down with that. I'm absolutely down with it. Congressman Mark Alford, I really enjoy him. He's from the Kansas City area. He weighed in on this issue, speaking out in favor of this act. Here's what he had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong and unwavering support for protecting women, protecting women's sports, and passing H.R. 28, the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. The Biden administration fought to tear down the decades of progress women have made in athletics. Women have been stripped of their earned titles and live in fear for their safety in the locker rooms of America. Women like Riley Gaines, Lily Mullins, and Paula Scanlon, and so many other unspoken stories. Last week, the federal court ruled in favor of reality. Biden tried to rewrite Title IX, and his unconstitutional idea was rejected. Let's vote in favor of reality today. The Protecting Women and Girls in Sports Act clarifies the protections under Title IX and makes sure our women can continue to compete in fair and secure environments. It is an insult and utter disgrace to have them robbed of the triumph by a biological male. We're told that if this bill passed, President Biden would veto it. Well, Mr. Speaker, on November 5th, the American people vetoed the radical left progressive agenda, and next week, America will return to common sense. I pray that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle remember common sense today in this very chamber. It is not complex, Mr. Speaker. God intricately created 2 genders for one reason. Men have no business competing in women's sports, nor being in their locker rooms. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
I mean, that's mic drop right there. I mean, he said it. Congressman Mark Alford, I like that guy. He's a man of faith. When I was running for Congress here in this district, a couple years ago, he was running up there in Kansas City. He's a former newsman, man of faith. I've visited with him, been to his offices there. My son Trey's visited with him as well. And he is the real deal. He speaks up. He knows what he's talking about, and he speaks the truth. And he's a man of faith. He's on the front line of faith, and he's telling the truth there. He's not unwavering on it. He said it's not complex. God intricately created 2 genders for a reason. Men have no business competing in women's sports or being in their locker rooms. That's so true. Can you imagine that though? Like, I can't imagine being a woman and working out at Planet Fitness and having a dude. Remember that one video that went around?
Didn't some lady get sued because she filed a complaint because some dude was changing it? There was like a 13-year-old girl that was watching it.
Yeah,
that's horrifying.
Planet Fitness. Yeah, you're right. It's just, she posted a video online. That's why they kicked her out. First of all, the Planet Fitness said, "Oh, you violated our covenant," because she's like, "There's a man with a penis in a locker room. There's a 13-year-old girl trying to change." I would have beat the dude down. I mean, in the name of Jesus. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I'd have prayed for him.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I'd give the beat down. Yeah.
I'm just saying, we just got to stop and think about that. What father if that's your 13-year-old daughter and you got a dude who's in that locker room while she's changing, a dude, and again, I'm not trying to be vulgar, but that's got his penis out there changing. Come on now. That's just, and he says he's identifying. Well, I identify as Mike Tyson, and I'm going to lay the smack down. I mean, that's just how I see that. So, but the Democrats, they tried to put up a fight. They did. And one of their leaders, their young and upcoming leaders, fell short because they didn't have enough votes. But, here's what AOC had to say about this whole deal.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Madam Ranking Member. Here we are today, Republicans who have voted consistently against the Violence Against Women Act, who have taken away the right of all women to choose and have control over their own body, who, as women are bleeding out in parking lots across the country, standing there, allowing us to die, now want to pretend today that they care about women. And why? To open up gender and, yes, genital examinations into little girls in this country in the so-called name of attacking trans girls. And to that, today, what we have to say are two words: not today. The majority right now says there's no place in this bill that says it opens up for genital examinations. Well, here's the thing. There's no enforcement mechanism in this bill. And when there is no enforcement mechanism, you open the door to every enforcement mechanism.
That's ridiculous. So 206 Democrats said, oh, no, we're not going to protect all women and girls just because that would open it up for the possibility of men wanting to examine transgender little boys and girls. Like, mind you, that less than 3% of the population identifies as transgender. And then there's another little small fraction of that are minors. So you're saying that of the whole population of women, women outnumber men, 52%, something like that? So we're going to put all of them at risk because this could possibly lead to some dudes, maybe somewhere down the road, want to examine to see if a transgender person is really a boy or girl. How stupid is that? Like, how stupid is, and Mom, I'm sorry. I know you're not supposed to I'm not calling her stupid. I'm saying, how stupid is that logic and that reasoning? I'm glad that we got common sense brothers and sisters that are in Congress. I'm glad that the House controls it because they voted to protect women and girls in sports. The Republican congressional representatives, they did the right thing. The bill was passed, and we're saying that we have advocates of women in our Congress, both male and female, and I'm glad that they did the right thing, and now that's going to go over to the Senate. It's going to pass there because we control the Senate 53-47, and then, of course, Trump's going to sign it. Common sense is back, baby. Common sense is back. Let's get started with our second hour.
Top stories of the day.
All right, let's get to it. Let me give you a few top stories of the day. I got about 3 of them that I'm going to highlight today. 3 quick hitting top stories. When I say quick hitting, I don't know. I'm a black preacher. Could take a while, but they won't be as long as the other ones. But we'll start with the confirmation hearings. Let me give you some highlights from that. Dude, there were some fireworks on Capitol Hill. Several people in Trump's cabinet, his picks, they're up for confirmation hearings before the Senate. Now, here's the deal. I know that it's in the Constitution that the Senate's supposed to confirm the president's picks, but they're making a mockery of this. This is getting absolutely ridiculous. They're asking stupid questions, and they come with an agenda. But Pam Bondi was ready. Pam Bondi was on fire. She was in fuego at her confirmation hearing. Her pick, she's Trump's pick for Attorney General. First of all, I'm going to play a couple clips for you. First of all, she completely destroys Adam Schiff. He's the senator now from California. Check this out.
I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one
Based
has
on
asked
what you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a
The
hypothetical.
president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called.
also
the
worried
president,
about Liz Cheney,
The
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this.
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
the
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You are
is
aware,
through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies are 87% higher than the national
My question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is this.
focused on, Senator.
Do you have the
if I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
Pam Bondi flipped the script. She piled you up that sucker. Bam. You know what we should be concerned about? Your crime rate in California is 87% higher than everybody else. What's up, Senator? What you gonna do? She's got some teeth. I mean, Pam Bondi, she's a former attorney general in Florida. She's been on Trump's team. She's one of his personal attorneys. Obviously a sharp woman. This reminds me, too, of remember when Mark Cuban, right before the election, said that Donald Trump never surrounds himself with smart women? He got blasted for that. I like Mark Cuban. I'm going to tell you, I love the show Shark Tank, but he was dead wrong on that one, dude, and he got lambasted for that. Because Pam Bondi is just another sharp woman, and she's a Trump supporter. And no husband told her who to vote for. She just recognized the policies, and she did it. So she destroyed Adam Schiff, wouldn't let the brother talk, wouldn't let him try to trap her. Good on you, Pam Bondi. She also responded to Senan Blumenthal's question trap. He tried to trap her. Check this one out.
Can you say no to the President of the United States when he asks you to do something unethical or illegal?
Senator, first, I need to clarify something that you said, that I have to sit up here and say these things. No, I don't. I sit up here and speak the truth. I'm not going to sit up here and say anything that I need to say to get confirmed by this body. I don't have to say anything. I will answer the questions to the best of my ability and honestly.
Let me ask you.
Pam Bondi ain't scared. She ain't scared. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. It's who says that Trump's going to ask her to do something illegal? See, that was the premise of they're trying to trap her into something. Now, keep in mind, when you go before these Senate hearings, what you say is on official record. So they can cause you, they can get you for perjury if you later on go against it, if you lie. That's what they're trying to do. And she wasn't falling for their traps. Trump, they're assuming that Trump's going to ask her to do something illegal, like maybe the current president who asked his attorney general to maybe not prosecute his drug-using son who was guilty of illegal gun charges and for tax evasion. I mean,
where's the laundry list, Alex? Yeah.
I'm just saying allegedly,
Allegedly.
Hypothetically speaking.
Purely irresponsible speculation.
Purely irresponsible. So basically, Pam Bondi, are you going to do what Joe Biden did for his son and do something illegal to cover for your family and the 12 family members that receive money from foreign governments? What if Trump asked you to do that? Are you going to do what our president did right now? That's basically what they're saying. She's not falling for that. I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe with Pam Bondi. I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe. Pam Bondi's on it. So, and then she claps back at Senator Hirono. This lady, check this one out, right?
Senator Hirono, I wish you had met with me. Had you met with me, we could have discussed many things and gotten to know.
I am listening to you now. Could you respond to the question?
Yeah, you were the only one who refused to meet with me, Senator. But what we would have discussed is that it is the job of the Attorney General to
I'm very
follow
happy to listen
the law.
to your responses under.
Yeah, you're the only one that refused to meet with me, Senator. And she had her hand up with her big bling up here like... She took control of that situation. And I mean, all these senators, because what happens is each of the senator on the committee, and I think there's 26 of them or something like that on their committee, not all the whole Senate, they all get 7 minutes to ask their questions. So you got like, Republican, Democrat, and it's more Republicans than Democrat on the committees. But Pam Bondi wasn't falling for it. She told her, she's like, hey, Senator, like I wish you would have met with me. You refused to meet with me. Were you scared? You're scared. And you know why Hirono refused to meet with her? Because she would rather spew her narrative. She didn't want to meet with Pam Bondi to find out the truth, to know what's really going on. She wanted to spew her narrative. That's the thing. It's more important for their narrative. The Democrats are afraid of Pam Bondi. They're afraid, really, that Pam Bondi is going to do what they did. They're afraid that Pam Bondi, who, Merrick Garland, who was the Attorney General, he appointed Jack Smith as a special counsel to go after Trump for the classified documents case when they didn't go after Joe Biden. Their special counsel said, oh, no, Joe Biden's too old. No jury's going to prosecute him. We're dropping the charges. Oh, but we're going after you, President Trump, all part of lawfare. They're afraid that Pam Bondi is going to go after Liz Cheney, who was on another special select group that Nancy Pelosi formed when the Democrats were in charge of Congress and when they're investigating the so-called J6 insurrection. So they put a couple of Republicans, or really they were rhinos, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger from Illinois. They put them on the committee so they can say it was nonpartisan. That it was a partisan committee, bipartisan. So we had people from both parties on it, and they agreed that Trump is guilty. They agreed that these people on the J6 committee, insurrectionists, they should go to jail and all this and that. And then when that committee was over, and before the Republicans took control of the House, and when they were supposed to also get control of the information that they had, all of the documents, all the files, all the videos, what did the Democrats do? They destroyed the evidence. They destroyed it. So there's literally been about, I think, 940 people from January 6th that have been or are still in jail. Some of them have been sentenced to 22 years in jail for walking through the Capitol building. And a lot of them, there's some knuckleheads that did some stuff that probably should have been there. People that attack cops, you should be in jail. I mean, yeah, that was wrong. But for walking through the Capitol, you got like the story of the praying grandma from like out west somewhere, Utah, Arizona, whatever. She's walking through the Capitol. They opened up the stanchions. They let them in because they didn't want them to storm. And so she's walking through the Capitol, and they know because they got the geo tracking on the cell phones. And this lady gets sentenced. She's a J6 prisoner. It's crazy. So, but, Hirono realized, and the Democrats, that lawfare didn't work, and they want to make sure it doesn't happen to them. That's what they're trying to do. So they're going, Pam Bondi, will you on today state on the record that you'll never do to us what we tried to do to you guys? That's basically what they're saying. Now, she had some friendlies over there. Our very own senator from here in Missouri, actually from here in Springfield, Missouri, Josh Hawley, he exposed a real issue. And this is an issue for her to solve. He's the one that exposed this. Check this out.
I, too, have taken note of the number of times you have been asked about weaponization of the Department of Justice as if it was a theoretical possibility that might happen in the future. One of my colleagues on the other side said, weaponization may well occur under your tenure. We all know that weaponization has occurred like we've never seen before in American history under this administration. And I want to get even more specific. In the last 4 years, this administration has carried out an unprecedented attack and campaign against people of faith. If you look at the numbers, we've never seen anything like it before in American history. It has been one of the most disgraceful chapters in the history of the Justice Department and in the history of the FBI. And I hope that you will reverse this and do right by every American citizen, including especially people of faith. Let me give you some specifics. After the Dobbs case was decided by the Supreme Court, over 100 pregnancy care centers and over 300 churches in this country were attacked, vandalized, firebombed. Do you happen to know off the top of your head how many prosecutions Merrick Garland's Justice Department brought in those cases?
I do not, Senator.
It's a stunning number. It's 2.
That's crazy. I mean, Josh Hawley's refocusing it, and that's why we want a fair, balanced-minded attorney general that's interested in a one-tier justice system, not the two-tier, because that's what the Democrats were doing. You know, it was rules for thee, but not for me. They were out to get Trump. Everybody knew it. I got friends and family relatives who were against Trump wholeheartedly, but finally said enough's enough. We see what's happening here. I got a cousin. I'm going to have him on the show sometime. His name's Ralph. He's one of my cousins from Atlanta, Georgia. And, man, he's like, man, first, several years ago, he's like, man, why you voting for that racist dude? And now he's like, man, I've cast my vote for him. Put a sticker on his truck because he saw through what they were trying to do to that dude. And he's like, if they're doing it to him, they're going to come after us. People's eyes are being open. And Josh Hawley's saying what we all know. So I'll end this this first little topic here about the hearing with words from Pam Bondi herself. I want you to hear what she had to say that she'll do in her own words.
Confirmed as the next Attorney General of the United States, my overriding objective will be to return the Department of Justice to its core mission of keeping Americans safe and vigorously prosecuting criminals. And that includes getting back to basics: gangs, drugs, terrorists, cartels, our border, and our foreign adversaries. That is what the American people expect, and that is what they deserve from the Department of Justice. If confirmed, I will do everything in my power, and it will be my great responsibility to make America safe again.
There you go. Hey, let me give you another top story of the day. It's official. Biden is leaving Trump a gift. I told you about this at the start of the show. He says, I might just let him just to explain the gift. Here's how I know. Well, play this clip.
My administration is leaving the next administration with a very strong hand to play. And we're leaving them in America with more friends and stronger alliances, whose adversaries are weaker and under pressure. An America that once again is leading, uniting countries, setting the agenda, bringing others together behind our plans and visions. An America which is
That's good right there. That's good right there. He said it. He's leaving him a gift. You know what that gift is, don't you, friends?
What kind of gift are we talking about?
A very strong economy. He's got a good hand to play. That's
really a stronger economy.
His words exactly. My administration is leaving the next administration with a very strong hand to play. We generated the strongest economy in the world. How is the brother going to say that? Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see it the same way. Here's what I actually see. He started with the botched withdrawal in Afghanistan, where 13 service members were killed. And then he wouldn't even want to say the people's names. I mean, we all saw it before our eyes where when we left Afghanistan, because he wanted to get out before a certain time for political reasons, we saw the planes leaving there. The airport there, the downtown airport, how they left $80 billion worth of equipment for the Taliban to get. Now that airport, Bagram Air Force Base, it's in the hands of China right now. We saw the plane. I remember seeing the plane fly off and people on it and then falling from the sky. That's how we saw you start your presidency with foreign policy. We saw that he added almost $8 trillion to the national debt. $8 trillion. Now, this is one of the things that we used to love to do on the radio, and we're going to hear this here, Frizz and I, because you know what I like, the national debt counter, the clock. Oh, my goodness. The man took us from, because right now, our national debt, we're at 36 trillion. When he started, we were at 28 trillion. He put $8 trillion worth of debt on our country. That's crazy. That's crazy. And it's because they wanted to go radical green, the radical green New Deal. Remember they started this inflation reduction? We're $36 trillion in debt as a country. The national debt goes up. There it is. That debt clock right there. It's unbelievable. Can you zoom that sucker in? Yeah. Play around with that. Yeah, zoom it in if you can get it, because I want people to see this. Like right there. You see how that's going up? You can't even say the number before it changes. Like literally, we're going up $100,000 in debt every, 3 seconds? 1, 2, 3. Every 3 seconds, $100,000 in debt goes in there. Like the average person doesn't make $100,000. So your salary, really a couple of people's salary, every 3 seconds is going towards our debt. And it's because we're doing too many of these social programs for everybody. Look, I believe in helping people out, but we can't just keep on with these programs. We're incentivizing people not to work, not to dream, not to aspire to something great. We need the average person to pay their fair share, because I'm tired of paying a lot. I'm just keeping it real. We saw him throw debt at a crazy rate. So what part of this strong hand to play are you talking about? Are we talking about selling our top secrets to China? Because, we know that Joe Biden, your son Hunter, and your family members, they're in bed with China. I mean, 12 of your family members receive money from foreign countries. What are you talking about? You talking about arresting innocent innocent Americans during January 6th? Still people in jail. There's one dude who's a part of the Proud Boys. Now, I'm not down with the Proud Boys and their organization. They seem like maybe a racist organization. I don't know. White supremacists. I don't know. But no American should be in jail when they weren't even at the January 6th deal. But because of rhetoric, they posted online, that dude's serving 22 years. That's not right. That's stupid. And there's nothing that was done by any American, this is in my opinion, during January 6th. Now, there's some of them that assaulted police, that knocked them over during the barricades, whatnot. I get that. Some of those people probably should be serving time in jail, but there's nothing that warrants someone being in jail for 22 years. No, that's crazy. But you put them there, President Byron. What about the lawfare against Trump? Is that what's the strong part of the strong deal? Now you're warning against that? What about the assassination attempts against Trump? That was under your Secret Service, that falls underneath a couple assassination attempts on a U.S. president. What happens if an American president gets assassinated? You talk about what's going to happen to the economy there? What's up? And then let's just talk about the actual economic position that you left us in. Does anybody remember what gas was when Trump left office? You know what you're paying now? Energy costs, like to heat your home, cost of insurance. Like insurance has gone up like 60-some%. 60-some%. Car insurance through the roof. Interest rates under Trump. I bought a house at the beginning of, like when Trump was in office, interest rate was right at about 3%. My son just bought a house, 7.25%. That's a good interest rate. That's under Byron. What about firing the private workers for not taking the vaccine shot? That was under you, Joe Byron. Nurses, doctors, military people, firemen, essential workers that refuse to take a jab, the experimental thing. You got some?
Also in 2021, whenever you had to have a vaccine card to basically go anywhere. I remember having to take my 2 jabs just to go to a Blues game or a Cardinals game.
That was under.
I apologize, my mic wasn't on, and I just spoke into nothing. But I remember I had to have my ticket of freedom, my 2 jabs, to go to a Blues game or go to a Cardinals game. I remember that, Joe Byron. I remember, and so do a lot of other Americans.
People remember. So that's the strong economy you left. That's what you're talking about, and then on your way out, what about when you were pardoning people left and right? Your son Hunter, you said you wouldn't, but you did. What's up? Is that part of the strong economy? You pardon all these people. Some of them were child rapists and stuff. You pardon them? Nah, Byron. No, you didn't leave Trump with a strong economy. That's why the American people overwhelmingly voted for him. 311 electoral college votes, won the popular vote, won every swing state. The people spoke. Byron. Here's another top story. Here's my third top story. It's a local one. Chick-fil-A, the Lord's chicken. You like Chick-fil-A, Frizz?
I love.
Wait, is your microphone on, Frizz?
Yeah. Listen, video, audio, 20 different cameras here. And you have me put in like 40 different video clips. I'm still trying to figure everything out here, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me just say this. Wait, let me say this. You guys see that green screen? We're going to be using that one of these days. Put it back on you.
Behind me.
Yeah.
Right behind me right here.
We can do some green screen stuff on that one. Okay, but so yeah, you're doing a good job over there, Frizz.
I do love the Lord's chicken, but I have rarely had it because it's so busy, man.
It is busy. Chick-fil-A is always busy. That shows it's good food. It's good food. But so anyway, here in Springfield, you live in Springfield, Missouri area, you're getting a new location. There's an article in the News Leader that said Springfield's opening their 6th location, and it said they're going their first location on the west side of town. Now, I found it interesting, okay? I love getting the Lord's chicken. You need more Chick-fil-A's. You can never have too many of them. They just recently come to town the last few years, because I remember a time when we were Chick-fil-A free. No Chick-fil-A in Spring Billy. But so they're getting their new west location. It's located at 3801 West Sunshine Street. It'll be opening in late fall of 2025, early 2026. Now, it says Springfield is set to get this Chick-fil-A, the first one on the city's west side. Now, I'm going to say this. Really? Is it really the first one on the west side? You going to be technical? Really? Is it? Because Chick-fil-A, the west side's growing. I got to give a shout out over there in that Republic area. I mean, because stuff's going out in Republic. Amazon went over there. Convoy of Hope just built their new office space over there. You got a couple other businesses going out there. Macy Mitchell, he's one of the leaders out there. I went to, when he's an Evangel guy. Evangel University. Macy Mitchell's over the Chamber of Commerce. They're doing some good stuff. If you go to their meetings, they're killing it over there. And things are going west. But come on, this ain't your first Chick-fil-A on the west side. West side? How you do west side? West side? I hope I'm not flashing any gang signs over here. Nothing like that.
I've never seen you flash any kind of signs like that.
Okay, but here's the point. 3801 West Sunshine. Now, that's over on the corner of West Sunshine and the West Bypass. If you know, they built a Walmart over there. They got a Kohl's. They got a lot of shopping place over there. They got some space. It's almost going into Republic. They're doing some stuff over there in West Sunshine. But that's not the first one out on the west side of town, because the Bass Pro location, Chick-fil-A, the address for that is 425 West Sunshine. Right here. Take me over here. Chick-fil-A, you're wrong. 425 West Sunshine is still on the west side. You know what I'm saying? I mean, technically, it is. Now, it's the Bass Pro Chick-fil-A, which that Chick-fil-A, it's crazy to go there at lunchtime. They had you can't even turn, if you're heading north on Campbell and you're trying to turn west on Sunshine to go there, you can't even turn sometimes, because at lunchtime, that line is out the wazoo. Because this is the Lord's chicken. Chick-fil-A is good. I like the one on South Campbell. Okay, listen, did you know that this is their 6th location? Frizz, did you know? Can you name the other 6 Chick-fil-A locations here in town? I'm wondering if our people can name it. We eventually want you guys to interact with us. We're still new to this stuff. I don't know if we got any people giving comments. Sorry about that. Eventually, we're going to have you guys on. We're going to get you and put you on and stuff like that. Our soldiers and whatever. But the other Chick-fil-A, I'm wondering if people can name the other 5 locations. Can you, Frizzy Frizz?
The one at Bass Pro.
Yep, Bass Pro.
The mall.
Wait, are you reading my notes?
Possibly.
Man, you sucker. Come on, man. I had to leave myself some notes, too. The mall, they have one, yeah. You got North Glenstone and Kearney. That's over there on the north side of town. I call that the Evangel side of town, because Evangel runs the north side. What? Not Mission University. Shout out to my man, Dr. Milioni over there at Mission University, formerly BBC. I really do like them. We're going to have him on sometime. They're doing some good stuff. But Evangel rules the north side. And then you also have the South Glenstone next to Best Buy and Tire, Discount Tire. But then here's the one that I didn't know. I've never been to this one. The Missouri State, inside the Plaster Student Union, there's a Chick-fil-A. Did not know that. So there's 5 in Springfield. You got the 6th one coming soon. So that's the deal. Some of our top stories.
Ozark or Nixa needs to get in gear and get one down to either your place or my place, Alex. I'm telling you.
It'll be Ozark before it's Nixa.
You think so?
Yeah, because here's the deal. You guys got the Whataburger. You guys got that little shopping area, on the last exit leaving Ozark if you're heading south. Yeah, that area is growing up down there because it's on the highway. It's on Highway 65. And so, there, Rogersville, Rogersville is on the 60. They're doing some stuff on Highway 60. People come out here. Nixa is just kind of you got to be going to Nixa to drive through Nixa. I mean, that's just really where it's at. And so I live in Nixa. I love Nixa. We want to build some stuff. We got 14 Mill Market there. Shout out to 14 Mill Market.
The Atos Center as well.
The Atos. Yeah, Atos Center. If you've never gone to a show at the Atos Center, that's a nice show. It's a nice performance thing. They do some great shows there. Allie Walker is going to be there. I think it's tomorrow. So she's a little country singer, I guess, but she's going to be there coming up. And there's a couple other good shows that are coming to the Atos. That's Performing Arts Center there in Nixa. So a lot of good stuff in our area. I'm very proud of this area. So, hey, that's the deal. That is, that's what's happening. Top stories of the day. Let's keep the show moving. We got another little segment for you. What people are talking about. That's going to be next.
What people are talking about.
What people are talking about. So let me just say this first. These are some of the quick hitting things that we got, some stuff on X, what people actually are talking about, some things I've heard trending or whatever, whatnot. But it's hard to believe, man, our show's coming to an end, Frizz.
Time flies when you have fun, doesn't it?
It is flying. And I just want to once again say thank you to all the people that make this possible. Yourself, first off, you, Frizz, you're killing it, my man. I mean,
I appreciate it, and I do appreciate the feedback from our viewers that are tuned in because, hey, this is our second episode ever.
Yeah, and
we're still new to this.
And Frizz is like a radio audio guy. He's had 5-6 years of experience in that,
yes, sir. Yeah.
And so he kills it. That you do some broadcasting as well, like for sports and stuff. Some of the games. You're the voice of Willard, aren't you?
I'm the voice of Willard and the voice of Southwest Baptist University Bearcats. I need to start promoting my sports teams on this podcast because I got no Blue sponsors with me. Hey, if the Blues ever do watch, hit a brother up. Seriously.
You mean hockey?
Yes, the
Blues. Hockey. The Blues. So anyway.
Here, just say that into the. I'm not doing this.
Hockey. The Blues. Brothers don't watch hockey, by the way. I mean, there's
there's not many brothers in the NHL either.
I mean, like 2 or 3 of them anyway. But shout out to you.
The Blues have a couple.
Do they? Shout out to you though, Frizz. You're killing it, man, because you're a radio guy, audio. And I was like, hey, when I started doing this, I'm like, hey, can you learn video? You're like, hey, I'll try it. And you're like way above. I mean, because we had to come in here. This is a great studio. Another shout out to Will Worsham, Worsham Law Firm. He's given us this space, allowing us to use it over here with our podcast. And there's a lot of bells and whistles, like 4, 5, 6 cameras. You got like video stuff. I don't know how to do anything technology. Switching back and forth between, clips, YouTube, this or that, and yada yada. And so and then our friend Todd Nicholson, he's one of my best friends in life. I've been doing life with him and his family for about 30 years. He's big on the technical side, helped me get all the streaming stuff. And then Ryan Rourke from Florida, he's a guy that's one of my guys. I call him technical guy, and he's helping us with some of our content graphics and stuff like that. So a lot of people help make this thing possible. So here's what people are talking about, though. The binder. It's too bad this show's over or she's leaving when we're talking about we started our show because the binder. Who's the binder? Karine Jean-Pierre. KJP. She is the binder. She's the press secretary for Joe Byron. She's had her last day yesterday. Check this out.
Finally for you, because you've clearly reflected on your role as press secretary, is there anything you wish you had done or said differently during your time?
Well, I will have a lot of time to reflect, right? You're not going to catch me up here, Alicia, today, but I will have a lot of time to reflect on my time here. As you know, this is, and I think you've gotten to know a few press secretaries during your career, this is a job that's nonstop. There's not a lot of time to reflect. It's always, we have to do the job, we have to speak on behalf of the president, we have to make sure that we're communicating with all of you. But what I can say with full heart is that this has been an honor and a privilege to do this job, and I have done it to my best of abilities on behalf of this president, and the best job that I will ever have. I truly believe that.
Go ahead. You for a sec. I got something to say.
I was going to say, did she watch The Wizard of Oz before she decided to pick out her outfit? Because, my goodness, that lime green was blinding to me watching that live. Seriously. Look at this. Here, hold on. I'm going to play this again. Look how bright.
For you, because you've clearly reflected on your role as press secretary, is there anything you wish you had done or said differently?
I don't know.
You went to the outfit. So here's the deal, though. The binder. We call it the binder because when she was chosen by, Biden wanted to have the most diverse, cabinet, black, white, brown, male, female, gay, straight, whatever. So she checked a couple boxes. She's a woman of color, so black. She's gay. So she checked a couple and she's a woman. So you got a couple of different marginalized. And so we call her the binder because she wasn't very good. I mean, you talk about Dana Perino, you look at what Sarah Huckabee Sanders did. There were some good ones that were in the past, and they could speak clearly without stumbling. She would always go to her binder to check on things. And so that's why we called her that. But this reporter asked her, is there anything that you wish you had done or said differently during your time? And she said, I haven't had time to reflect. Well, can I reflect a little bit for you? Can I reflect a little bit for you? What about the repeated lies that you gave from the podium about Biden's mental acuity? Just that. I mean, could you have done something differently there? How many times did you come out and tell us, the president will run circles around you. He's so sharp. He's the sharpest one in the room. He outworks everybody here. And then we find out that he didn't do even a board meeting for a year. How do you know that he outworked everyone? Like, are you not sorry about that at least? Can you tell the truth one time on your way out? Yeah, listen, I probably should have. Don't tell him I said this, but I probably should have told y'all the truth about Biden. He's too old and crazy. I mean, could you not, nothing you want to change? And then in this, her last final press briefing, there was zero news on her final briefing, none. She had no details on the ceasefire or the hostage agreement. She had no details on the possible end of the 400 days of fighting, 460 days of fighting. That was a defining element of Biden's presidency, that whole deal there. Instead, she said, I'll send you guys to the Department of Defense on that one. Now, according to Jackie Heinrich, she's a news person. She is in the room. She tweeted that sources familiar with the situation told her, this is Jackie Heinrich, that Karine Jean-Pierre, she blocked John Kirby. He's the spokesman for the military, for the Department of Defense, that she blocked him from joining her on the briefing at the press and so he can talk about the ceasefire because she wanted to keep the spotlight to herself. That's what Jackie Heinrich is reporting. The sources said KJP didn't want anybody else on that last final one because she wanted it to be about her. But keeping true with what's important to the Democrats, KJP, she got personal. She shed a little tear, and this is what the Democrats connect with. Check this out.
I can't thank them enough. And to my parents, sorry I didn't become a doctor, but hopefully this is okay. And to my lovely, amazing daughter, you have gone too many nights without me being around, and without me being there for school drop-offs, and without your mama around. And I can't wait to spend more time with you. I call her my pudding, so I can't wait to spend more time with you, Pudding. Thank you for your love and support and your patience. And finally, I do want to say thank you to President Biden and First Lady Dr. Biden for this incredible opportunity. As I said earlier, standing at this podium behind this lectern, serving the American people and this administration has been an honor of a lifetime. And I will be forever grateful to the President for his trust and this amazing opportunity.
This was the honor of a lifetime. I know I wasn't qualified, but because I'm a gay black female, you gave me the job. And I know I need my binder all the time, but hey, yeah. I mean, okay. Is it wrong to make fun of me? I'm sorry.
No, go.
I mean, but that's what happens with identity politics and stuff. Get somebody sharp and qualified. I want them to be black. I want black people to be elevated. Women want women there. I mean, but come on, man. Come on. But it's her last day. And that's too bad because that would have been a lot of good material that we could have had. But she's out. And I wonder, we'll see who's next there. Let me give you else. What else are people talking about? Pete Hegseth. Is this the next one that you have on your show sheet? Okay. Because I had something about the Blue Origin that I end up losing, but I'm going to see if I can find that. But Pete Hegseth, we talked about him on Tuesday. He's the Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense. He was being grilled on Capitol Hill on Tuesday by the self-righteous Democrat senators. And it was just a show of political theater. Now, I'm going to play this clip here, but I'm going to tell you this. It's a little bit long. It's about 3 minutes long. But this is of, again, during his confirmation hearing, this is Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. He's a Republican from Oklahoma. He's exposing the Democrats who are just as jacked up. They vote drunk. They cheat on their wives. He went there. Check this clip out.
There's a lot of talk going about talking about qualifications and then about us hiring him if we are the board. But there's a lot of senators here I wouldn't have on my board because there is no qualifications except your age, and you got to be living in the state and you're a citizen of the United States to be a senator. Other than the fact we got to convince a lot of people to vote for us. And then when we start talking about qualifications for if you're qualified for it, could the chairman tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense? Mr. Chairman, could you tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense?
I'd be happy
I'll read
for
it.
you to do that. Yeah.
Let me read it for you because I Googled
I
it.
was getting some advice from my second in command.
Yeah, but I'm just making a point because there's a lot about qualifications. And I think it's so hypocritical of senators, especially on the other side of the aisle, be talking about his qualifications, not going to lead the secretary or be the Secretary of Defense, and yet your qualifications aren't any better. You guys aren't any more qualified to be the senator than I'm qualified to be the senator, except we're lucky enough to be here. But let me read you what the qualifications of the Secretary of Defense is, because I Googled it and went through a lot of different sites, and really it's hard to see. But in general, the U.S. Secretary of Defense position is filled by a civilian. That's it. If you have served in the U.S. Army Forces and have been in the service for, you have to be retired for at least 7 years, and Congress can weigh that. And then there's questions that the senator from Massachusetts brought up about serving on a board inside the military industry, and yet your own secretary that you all voted for, Secretary Austin, we had to vote on a waiver because he stepped off the board of Raytheon. But I guess that's okay because that's a Democrat Secretary of Defense. But you so quickly forget about that. And then Senator Kaine, or I guess I better use the senator from Virginia, starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No. But it's for show. You guys make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because the man's made a mistake. And you want to sit there and say that he's not qualified? Give me a joke. I mean, it is so ridiculous that you guys hold yourself as this higher standard and you forget you got a big plank in your eye. We've all made mistakes. I've made mistakes. And Jennifer, thank you for loving him through that mistake. Because the only reason why I'm here and not in prison is because my wife loved me too. I have changed, but I'm not perfect.
That's good. That's good stuff. And I mean, that's why I wanted to play the whole clip for you. I know it's about 3 minutes or so, but Mark Wayne Mullen, senator there, he's put it in perspective. I mean, he called them out on their junk. How many senators showed up drunk to vote tonight? I know you. I've seen you do it. he told them how it is. And then the heart of it is, yeah, you made a mistake. Pete Hegseth did. I've read Pete's books, and he does. I mean, he's in another marriage. It sounds like, we cheated on one wife with another one and made mistakes, but let he without sin cast the first stone. And his wife stuck with him. She loved him through it. They have a beautiful family now. He's a man of faith now. He's obviously found he's had a strong faith tradition. I've heard his mom talk, and she's like, we raised him to be a man of God, a Christian. And he got away from that a little bit when he's in the military, had some demons that he had to deal with, some drinking and stuff, with a lot of soldiers do. Made some mistakes, but now he's a good man, and he has been since like 2017. Nobody can find fault with him, but these senators want to try to jack him, and I think that he's just a man. One of my surrogate sons, his name's TJ. He's a kid that came to live with us when he was like a freshman in high school, and we love him. He's like my oldest son, really. He's serving at Fort Irwin in the Army, and he's doing great now. He's a sergeant, actually. And he was telling me that he and a lot of his friends, they are excited about Pete Hegseth being a leader because he's a real true soldier, and they want to get back to the ethos of the Army, which is war fighting. So thank you, Senator Mullen, for putting it in perspective. That's something that people are talking about, because Pete Hegseth was trending on X, on Twitter, with about 1.55 million impressions. That's a lot. That's a lot of mentions. Anytime over million's a lot. So, hey, here's another thing that people are talking about. Carrie Underwood. Carrie Underwood. She is being attacked for agreeing to perform at Trump's inauguration. That's crazy. Carrie Underwood, she's a country singer. Yeah, Fritz. Oh, well, what'd you put a picture? Oh, you just wanted people to see it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm just teasing.
You got to talk about the beauty of Carrie Underwood.
She's a beautiful lady. There's no denying it. So she is being, there's another beautiful brother right there.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah. So, but she's agreed to sing at Trump's inauguration. And people don't like it. Like the ladies on The View jacked it, because what happens is if you're on our team, you're not supposed to be on their team. And we're supposed to have Hollywood. The Democrats are supposed to have all the media. They're supposed to have the movies. They're supposed to have music. Country, yeah, they got a lot of them. But she's kind of a country pop, I guess. And so, but she's got roots in country. I mean,
she's kind of like an OG country singer almost. She's not like the country music that's going out right now. But I remember listening to her as a child.
Yeah.
Her country music. I believe I saw her once play at the JQH Arena at one point.
Really?
Yeah. Whenever it was called JQH Arena. Now it's Great Southern Bank.
Yeah. Way cool. But so she's singing at the inauguration, and they don't like it because one of their team's not supposed to do that. But you know who's not going to be at the inauguration? Who's going to be missing? Michelle Obama. She's skipping Trump's inauguration, and it's been reported to avoid having to pretend for protocol's sake. She's like, I don't like him. Think he's Hitler. He's an existential threat to society, except Obama doesn't feel that way, because President Obama and Trump were chumming it up at the funeral of Jimmy Carter, and Obama got blasted by that. Charlemagne, he's a radio host in New York, a black radio host, and down with the community. He's like, hey, Obama, you told us that this man is like Hitler. He's an existential threat to our democracy, that, we will kill. Obama or Oprah came out and said, if Trump wins, this may be the last time we're able to vote. And now Obama's going to chum it up with him, tell jokes, laugh, and, clown around like they're friends at the funeral. But Michelle Obama said, no, I'm not going to be a part of that. I don't want to pretend like I like these people. I don't want to shake his hand.
Petty.
It's very petty. I mean, it's very petty. It just shows how personal they're taking this stuff. I mean, it shouldn't be that way. Politics shouldn't be that way. It should be about ideas. They shouldn't try to disparage Trump's character. He's like Hitler. He hates our country. No, he just has different views. He has different views than you do. He has different stances and different policies. That's all. What else we got? Here's another one. Jeff Bezos, his rocket company, Blue Origin. Overnight, they successfully reached orbit with their very first time ever trying to put a rocket in place or in space. So the company's 320-foot tall New Glenn rocket. Play this clip. Let's show some video of this.
For to point downrange, body rate responses are nominal. Chamber pressures continue to look good. Now 40 seconds into flight.
Oh my God!
End of roll, strakes now level. Chamber pressures continue to look good. 50 seconds in. Data quality looks good coming down from...
I mean, that's kind of cool. I remember when I was a kid, NASA, the government did all this. Now NASA has been, torn apart, and now you got these billionaires who are trying to go to space. Elon Musk, he's got SpaceX. They're trying to go to Mars. That's what he wants to do. He wants to go to Mars. That's the thing about Elon. Elon's this dude's $200 billion, I think, or something he's worth. And he doesn't even care. The dude really doesn't care about money. He wants to go to Mars. He doesn't own a house anymore. He just freeloads off people.
That's an oxymoron. $200 billion network. Hey, can I borrow $5? Says Elon.
Okay, he doesn't freeload off people, but he just goes from like place to place. Like he's been at Mar-a-Lago with Trump for like a couple months. He's volunteering his time to be on DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Him and Vivek Ramaswamy, they're going to make the government run more efficient. Elon is he's a brilliant guy. He's a little bit of a savant. He's on the spectrum somewhere, but he's extremely smart. His IQ is off the chart, and he just wants to go to space. He wants to get rid of regulation, government regulation, so that he can go and just dream and think. And you need people like that. These billionaire people, Jeff Bezos now, who, he's the Amazon guy, they are trying to you guys are giving money to him every time you order something. Yeah, you order all kinds of stuff too. I give him a lot of money because this stuff comes to our house all the time. I don't even know what my people order at my house. They're Amazoning it up. But it's kind of impressive, though, that they're the first time ever that they launched their rocket, 320-foot tall rocket. Because I can remember being a kid and watching the space shuttle blow up when I was in 6th grade. I mean, that's always a fear. And having the astronauts on it. These people are doing it now. They don't have to have somebody manned. It's all robotics and electronics and stuff. But that's a lot of money being invested in this rocket, and to see it be successful the first time it went up to orbit. So congratulations, Jeff Bezos. Kind of cool there. I'm going to leave you with this. Here's another thing that people are talking about. And I started the show mentioning this, but this is a dire warning. Senator Marco Rubio, who's up for Secretary of State, he had his confirmation hearing yesterday. His is a done deal because even Democrat senators, they usually make it a point to vote for one of their own out of the Senate who is trying to be on the cabinet, whether they're Republican or Democrat. That's just what they do. But he had his confirmation hearing, and he made a statement, and I'm going to play it for you. It's a dire warning that we all need to be taking heed to.
If we stay on the road we're on right now, in less than 10 years, virtually everything that matters to us in life will depend on whether China will allow us to have it or not. Everything from the blood pressure medicine we take to what movies we get to watch, and everything in between, we will depend on China for it. They have come to dominate the critical mineral industry supplies throughout the world. Everywhere in the world, they've now established critical mineral rights. Even those who want to see more electric cars, no matter where you make them, those batteries are almost entirely dependent on the ability of the Chinese and the willingness of the Chinese Communist Party to produce it and export it to you. So if we don't change course, we are going to live in a world where much of what matters to us on a daily basis, from our security to our health, will be dependent on whether the Chinese allow us to have it or not. That's an unacceptable outcome.
Wow. I mean, our way of life is going to be dependent upon if China allows us to have stuff or not. Medicine, minerals, cars, etc. be dependent upon if China allows us to have it or not. I want that to sink in. Guys, the COVID exposed a lot to us. Supply chain backups and so on and so forth when people weren't going. This is another one that's very personal to me. You may not know this, but my number 3 son, Mason, when he was 15 years old, he was diagnosed with T-cell leukemia. They found a mass the size of my fist in his chest. We instantly became St. Jude's family. Within hours, they had him on a plane. They flew him down to Memphis, St. Jude's there. They started to do the testing. They did the chemo. They did the chemo and steroids to try to shrink the mass. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to say that my son has been cancer-free for a couple years now, but he's still going through the treatments. As a matter of fact, February 10th, just here in a couple weeks, he will ring the bell that shows his completion, finally, for his cancer treatment. It's been about 2.5, almost 3 years of a treatment. But, he goes for his treatment protocol. It's like 120 weeks that he had to go through this. And sometimes they give him the IV drip. They put a port in his chest. So sometimes he goes for the chemo drips. He had to have about 20 or 25 lumbar punctures. That's a spinal tap. Those they put him under. They take him in. He's got to be checked in. They put him to sleep, and they go in. They check his spine because leukemia. They want to make sure that the cancer didn't go from his brain all the way down his spine. And so they would do that to check it, to make sure there's nothing in his spine. But then they'd also endose a heavy dose of chemo in him. And this happened when he's 15, 16, 17. He's 18 now. He's been undergoing these treatments almost 3 years. But one of those, when we first started the chemo pills, it was just a little pill. I remember when he was like 15, 16, and that's putting poison in your body. When we first started, right off the heels of COVID, it was he just took a pill, a chemo pill, and we couldn't even touch it. My wife had to go to the class to learn how to put the gloves on, how to handle this, because it's poison. It was toxic. Well, because China produces a lot of our medication, they produce like 95% of our ibuprofen. Well, they also produced our chemotherapy drugs. And they were starting to fight with us, and they started to not give us our chemo pills and our drugs. So he went from taking one pill, chemotherapy drug that he needed, to when we had to do it on our own, it was like 30 different pills to try to manufacture it. Like this is what's happening. China, they're like our drugs, our healthcare. This is life. I mean, life, death. These electric car batteries. China's trying to control Taiwan so that they can, conduct the semiconductors. Semiconductors are in everything. It's a thing that takes a mechanism from being just a normal standard mechanism to being electrical. It's the semiconductors. And Marco Rubio is warning us: if we stay on the road that we're on right now, in less than 10 years, virtually everything that matters to us in life will depend on whether China allows us to have it or not. That's a dire warning. That's a dire warning that we need to make sure that we are heeding. If we don't change what we're doing, if we don't change course, that's what could be. I want to encourage you, man. It's all about America. Trump says he's going to make America great again. That's why I like the guy. That's why I voted for him. I voted for the guy 3 times because I do want to make America great again. I want America first. And Trump says this. That doesn't mean, hey, China should be worried about them. Japan worried about them. England worried about them. Bahamas worried about them. Just like I'm concerned about my family. Obviously, God first, family, and then my community. But I work for my family. I do things for my family first. And that's what it is for our country, America first. It doesn't mean that I'm a nationalist. It doesn't mean that I think God loves our country more than other people. No. God loves America. He loves other countries too. But as a patriot, that's what I am. It's about America first. And then because I do believe I'm a Christian, I want to be strong, a strong country, a strong economy, a strong military, so that we then can go and help serve other countries. Now, to the extent to which we do that, our government, our politicians need to know, but that's what it's all about, America first. Hey, that's all I got for this time. Frontline Faith with Pastor Alex Bryant. Thanks for joining us, man. Like, subscribe, and share this. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. And I told people the last time, you need to get on our mailing list, alexbryant.org. When you do that, you're going to know about all our updates, things that we change, things that we're going to be doing. And then go to Frontline Faith on Facebook, because we're going to be putting some reels from our show, little small reels of the show. We're going to ask you to subscribe, like, share those with people. Help us build our little audience here. This is what's going on. Frontline Faith with Pastor Alex Bryant. That's all I got for you this time. On behalf of Frizz and myself, we out. Word.